Hi, I'm Nadinegilkison, and I am the technology specialist for Franklin Township Schools located here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And today what I'm going to be basically doing is talking about several different blog posts that I have on our website, which is fttechtips.com. And I'm going to be going over a lot of different options that are out there. So if you're in your classroom and you're looking for a variety of ideas, I have several that are documented in my blog, but I feel like that this is just another avenue to review all of the options that are out there for teachers in our district as well as others that are interested. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get on FT Tips. And so I've logged into fttechtips.com, and I'm going to start off by clicking over on the end where it says blog. Okay. So off to the side, I have several different categories with my blog, and basically I'm going to be kind of reviewing over all of the different posts that I have tagged under the Fluency section. Okay. Now with that, I'm waiting on it to pop up here. With that, you're going to hear me talk about websites that you can use with an iPad, or you're going to hear me talk about apps that you can use with an iPad. But there's also a lot of great websites and a lot of other tools just from me being in the classroom of things that I've used over the years. So this was my first post I should say my most recent post that I've done on apps to consider for Fluency, Retail, or Reader's Theater. And I'm going to honestly say that not all of these ideas are just, straight out from me. I've gotten them from different sources, and I'll try to make sure that I name those off as I go through. Okay, so Mouth Off is a great app that I've suggested to teachers to use. As you see in the picture there, it's basically where it allows you to hold a device in front of the student's mouth, and anything that they say, the mouth is going to be animated in the same fashion. And so I tell teachers that I try to think of those students that are in your lower groups, and they really need something more engaging for them to get excited about having to practice fluency so many different times. Chatterpix is always a great favorite that teachers have grown to love, and kids love as well. Chatterpix has been so popular in our district. I did have teachers ask me though, they said, is there another app like Chatterpix but that I could record more than one person or have more than one mouth that can speak? And the answer is yes, there is an app that does that, and it's called Yakit Kids. So on the layout of my blog post, I have some pictures and some videos, and then underneath that as well, I also have links to integration. So you get a little brief blurb on what the app is. You can see either a picture or a video of it, and then below, then you're going to see again integration ideas for more than just fluency. Telegami is another popular one that teachers have loved, and the reason why that they love it so much is because the kid can make like a virtual avatar of themselves, and they can practice recording a poem, fluency phrases, all of those different types of things. Just another engaging tool to use. All right, the next one I actually heard from Cami Butterfield, and she talked about using the Teleprompter Lite app, which is a great idea. She talked about using that with fluency passages, sight words, phrases, and poems, even for Reader's Theater. So you may want to consider to use the Teleprompter Lite app. Several teachers in the district have used Telestory to be another engaging tool to let students have that outlet. They can pretend to be on a newscast, just different scenarios where they can practice fluency and retell and so on in a creative way. An easy app, this is one that if I have some teachers that are not as tech savvy, they'll say, well, what's a basic one that I can just start out with? And I tell them often about Quick Voice, very bare bones app. It just allows you to record the student's voice, and then you can add in there the name of the student, and that's great documentation for you to be able to go back and look at. Erin Integration is a great blogger that talks about different ways to use iPads in the classroom, and she had a great post recently that was Reader's Theater on the iPad. Now, some of the apps that I have listed, she actually had listed in that blog post as well, but she specifically targets how does that relate to Reader's Theater. So teachers, if you click directly on that image, then it will take you to her blog post where you can check out what she says. All right, now I'm going to scroll down, and the next Fluency blog post that I have is me talking about TinyTap. And if you can't remember, TinyTap is the app that allows you to basically create your own app. And there's a lot of different ways that, that you can use it in the classroom. I have created some TinyTap games with popcorn words, fries phrases, and different, and different avenues like that. So not only do I want you to take a look at the ones that I've made, but also take a look at, at their gallery, because hundreds of thousands of teachers have already been making TinyTap games. If you type in at the top, you can search to find the game that you're looking for. Okay? Next on that list on my blog post is me talking about how I do have a Pinterest board, and if you're not following me on Pinterest, it's FT Tech Integration. And like I said, I have a Pinterest board that says Fluency Tech Options. So as we know, things are constantly changing with technology, and there's new things that are coming out all the time. And so teachers, if you want to be able to find out what's the newest thing, that Nadine's been researching and looking into, follow that Pinterest board, and that'll keep you in the loop. Okay? All right, so now we're getting into a series of blog posts, and I actually created these PowerPoints and then turned them into video slideshows that I started out by using in my classroom several years ago. I always felt like that there was a need with Fluency, that after I worked with those kids that were lower at the small group table, I always had a concern once they left the small group table and they were doing something more independent, but yet I knew that they needed to review some of those basic skills. I wanted there to be some kind of a tool for them to be able to practice the skills that they needed. It was almost kind of like having a virtual me. So what I decided to do was, one of the projects that I did was I took the fries phrases, sets 1, 2, and 3, and I created different videos for them. Now, I'm just going to play a little snippet of this one.
A series of phrases will appear on the screen. Your task is to say the phrase within 3 seconds before you hear them read out loud. Ready? Set? Go! The people.
So as you can see demonstrated there, I just have the phrases appear. I gave them 3 seconds to try to say it before they hear me say it. And if the student can't read it, then I even start out by telling them, just wait until you hear me start to say it, and then repeat the phrase. And I really found these to be really effective with my lower students. And they even had like a checklist of, did you say it correctly or not? So since that was so effective, not only did I do that for fries phrases, but I also have videos for CVC words, endings, ending clusters, vowel R. I have blends, and I also have silent E, okay? With those, it's the same concept that the student gets 3 seconds to be able to say the word, and then they're gonna hear me say it back. And like I said, it was very highly effective in my classroom when I was doing that. So what I would tell you to do as a teacher, and I know we have several teachers in our district that are already doing this, they're actually pulling them up on like their student computers, or if you are lucky enough in your district that you have more iPads, or you have Chromebooks, or really any device, pull up these videos. Students can put on some headphones and they can be independently practicing. So basically, once I did some type of a screener and I knew exactly what the student needed to work on, then I was able to differentiate and let them know which one of these that they could work on. Now, in addition to those, I also then made some practice videos. Our district is using 95% group to help out with students and multisyllable words. And so then what I did to support that was I created videos based on the same principles. So like long vowel, silent E multisyllable words, open syllable, vowel team practice, consonant, LE, and so on. So again, once the students took a screener, then I could determine what it is that they needed to practice. Okay? All right, scrolling down, my next Fluency blog post is talking about how students can work on fluency and phrasing. And so I had the students record saying lines out of popular children's books. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, I've got students in kindergarten that need to work on that, but, they can't read it directly off of the book. Well, I can tell you definitely, because I have 4 kids of my own, and I did this type of activity when the kids were either in kindergarten or even at preschool age, because we all have that scenario where we read the book several times because that kid loves that story. So what do they pick up from that? They pick up how you read the book, and they can get your expression and your phrasing. So then what I decided to do was I recorded the student saying it, I would say a phrase, and then I would hit record, and then I would ask the student to say it back to me. And what they were able to do is really kind of mind-blowing, because they really do get that expression out there. So I'm going to play you a snippet of one here. This was the most recent one that we did, and it was based on the book I'm Bored. So I'm going to pull that up.
I'm bored. Bored. Blah. I'm bored. Hey, a potato. A potato? What am I supposed to do with a potato? Ow! I'm bored. You want to do something? Sure. What would you like to do? I don't know. I like flamingos. There are no flamingos around here. Well, that's disappointing. Now I'm bored. How can a potato be bored? Because I have to hang out with a kid. Kids are boring.
Now, I'm sure that you can tell from that the expression is just off the charts, and that had to do a lot with modeling. Now, another thing that I'm going to mention with that, because the kids love making them, but what's even better is when you're able to have that, that 21st century learning where you so what I'm going to tell you is that when that video was completed, I put it on my YouTube channel, and when it got put out there and it started circulating, it became viral. And so then the lady and the guy that actually wrote the book, the man who wrote the book and then the lady who did the illustrations saw it, and they asked if they could add it to their website so that others could have that to be able to use. And then in the mail arrived a signed copy of the book. And let me tell you, that experience was just wonderful for the students to have. So, consider doing that. In this day and age, that gets in those 21st century skills with the students, which is very impactful. Okay, and on this webpage, there's several other examples that you can take a look at as well. And I even have on here, older students doing book trailers and practicing fluency and phrasing for that. Another example that I have, and I already showed a clip of this in another Periscope, but I also had my 4th graders were buddies with a kindergarten class, and so the students wrote a story. But then instead of them recording the voices, they thought it would be even more effective if they had, they modeled the phrasing and the expression for the kindergartners, but then the kindergartners were the ones that were recorded. So that project went over really well as well. The last one that I want to talk about that's in this series was an idea that I came up with a couple years ago. And so when students were talking about, when they were talking about, getting those essential skills, they need to practice phrasing and expression, have the students think about what they love, which are movies, that are at their age level. So what if you print out some lines from a famous movie and have the students practice reading them with expression? But I didn't tell them what movie that it came from. They were just random lines that the students were practicing. But then it kind of clicked in my head because all the kids love those animated movies. And I thought, I was explaining to them, well, you realize that that's somebody in a recording booth that's actually, doing that. And part of the reason why you love that movie so much is because of the fact of how well that actor can read with the phrasing and expression. So then what I did was, after they practiced those lines to reveal, which movie that it came from, then I would show them these clips. And so I've made a point to get, I've got a clip from Up behind the scenes, Frozen behind the scenes, Despicable Me, the Lego Movie, Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I've got several examples, but that's one to have in the back of your mind that as newer children's movies come out, they always have, the behind the scenes that it's going to be found somewhere on YouTube, so that way you can do that lesson with students. And trust me, it has always been a big hit. Okay? That is up the different fluency options. I am going to be doing another Periscope, probably not today, but I'm going to be doing it on either Monday or Tuesday, about making sure that you are using pedagogy before selecting a tool that you're going to use in the classroom. So hopefully you'll tune in for that, and if not, there's always the Katch replay. All right, I hope everyone